What is up, Hardcore Nation? It's Hardcore Christopher here. And let's talk about Crucifixion. Yesterday I covered impalement. Today I am going to cover Crucifixion. So, Crucifixion was made popular by the Romans. Now what is crucifixion? Well, quite frankly, crucifixion was one of the worst ways to die. You see, once the accused was found guilty of a crime, which crucifixion was only done for like thieves and murderers and people like that. So, crucifixion began with, quite frankly, the brutalest of beatings. In fact, the beatings were so severe that people would yell, "Mercy! Mercy!" and they'd get none from the Roman Empire. A lot of them would actually die from the whipping itself. But if they did not die from the whipping, then they would be forced to carry the crossbeam of the cross on their shoulders, and when they got to the place of execution, they would be nailed. They'd be nailed, and I'm not talking a teeny tiny nail like we have today. I'm talking like railroad spike type nails. If you've ever seen a railroad spike, you know what I'm talking about. But the victim was nailed to the beam and to the structure the beam is to. And the reason why the Roman Empire did this was to show the citizens that Rome was over at the time, that if you do what this man did, this will happen to you. It was a sign of intimidation that the Roman Empire would crush any type of rebellion. Now I'm going to get to the before that, I am going to say that the Romans, sometimes they would, if a captor was trying to run away from their fate, they would break their legs. And the reason why the Romans would break their legs is because if anyone knows anything about crucifixion, you would have to lift up to breathe, driving the nails deeper into your flesh. Pure, striking pain and agony going all up and down your body. But if they broke your legs, you couldn't get any air, which means you would die significantly quicker. Now, the Romans were professionals at this. But there was a man, people found his remains. There was a man that was a victim of crucifixion. And and the nails were in his hands. But also in the ankles. So you already have nails in your hands. But imagine having can't get a good angle. Darn. Imagine having nails driven into your ankles, and the reason why they would do that is so you would not have a quick death. They wanted crucifixion to be the most painful thing that you would experience until your last breath. They would also want it to last longer. Reports say that you could last weeks and days on the cross before you die. And what was the cause of death when it came to crucifixion? Asphyxiation. Asphyxiation is when your lungs are come to their maximum size and you can't get any air in. Now I'm going to get to the most famous crucifixion. That'd be the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. If you don't know the Bible, well, I'll give you a quick synopsis. Jesus was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. He was betrayed by Judas. The Romans took him to the Sanhedrin. And a kangaroo court, if you don't know what a kangaroo court is, it's where you know the verdict before the trial even begins. He was found guilty, put to death by Caiaphas. They handed him over to Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate came out with two men, Barabbas and Jesus. And Jesus was so much. He was standing before after they set Barabbas free. And Pontius Pilate goes, "What shall I do with this man?" And the scribes and Pharisees, along with the congregation that was before him, said, "Crucify him." Then Then they took him to the whipping post, where it says that he was beaten so badly that he was unrecognizable even to his own mother. A cat of nine tails, a whip with like glass and stuff, tearing the flesh right off of his back. And the reason why the Romans would whip them is simply because of one reason. One reason. That's to weaken the condemned. He would go on to have a royal robe and a crown of thorns not placed on his scalp, but shoved in. Then he was forced to carry his own cross to his execution site known as Golgotha. Golgotha means the place of the skull, because it literally looked like a skull. But this is where people disagree. You see, as we see in the paintings, Jesus is crucified with his legs and his feet crossed. Pretty much in a crisscross motion. And a nail was driven in between both. However, I might as well get off this subject. There was crucifixion in China. But instead what they would do is put a chain around your neck. You'd be standing there, and there'd be one guy on the left, one guy on the right with spears, and once a guy gave the sign, they would thrust spears into you, which, quite frankly, that's crucifixion. I'm Hardcore Christopher. Keep it hardcore, everyone. And remember, kiddies, this channel is not for you.